Good morning. So Marianne and I have been talking, and well, first of all, let me ask this. How many people here feel like parenting coordination has the potential to be really helpful to these high conflict families and their children? So most of you are believers. Yay! I'm a total believer. But you know, one of the things that I'm aware of, I know that it's hard to like conceptualize a case and to think about it want to present it in English. But I'm also aware that a lot of you haven't yet started with parenting coordination cases. And it seems like they're problems. They're things that are getting in the way of you really feeling like you can take a case, or how do I take a case, or I don't know what it is, but they're problems starting the process. So what we thought would be a really helpful thing to do is to kind of turn your chairs around in some way and get in groups of about 6. And someone do the recording in Swedish. But let me just say, I am so impressed. I can't tell you how impressed I am with that you can listen to me all day in English. I mean, it's hard work, and that you can ask questions and you can make comments in English. I can't even say one word of Swedish, really.
God morgon. You did a great job.
So I'm impressed, and I thank you, and your education system is quite impressive. But that being said, that was an aside. That you get in groups of 6 and talk about what the problems are in getting started with cases. And then if one person could be a recorder and write it down, and then we can share what the groups are saying. And do you want to add to that?
Let's dig into the bad stuff. This is not working. These are the problems. Okay? And skriv liksom nyckelord. Jobbigt. Olika saker. Det här funkar inte. Det här måste bli bättre. Det här måste vi ändra på om det ska kunna funka sådär. Okej? Så ägnar vi kanske 10 minuter åt en sån diskussion. Det sitter någon vi kanske gör en varje rad eller något. Det är grupper per rad. Ja. Vi säger 10 minuter.
Let's see.
Ni sa en till så var det inte mer såhär, men du, jag tycker också det här, så börjar vi diskutera innan vi ger till dig. Så har inte diskuterat med de här, men tycker vi att man ska känna mest för det, vi kan säga det här mest. Nu har vi inte diskuterat
Det handlar bara om vilka familjer
jag tror också att det skulle vara mycket lättare att diskutera. Man vet att det här inte som man ser i familjebehandling eller i stödgrupper, vet att det finns ett utbud av koordinatorer för att representera familjer. Alltså, annars blir man ju lite så här stormedvetet med deras möjligheter. Alltså, det är där vi kan göra. Alltså så snarare det, alltså så. Bristen på koordinatorer. Ja. Liknande så jag jobbar ju väldigt mycket med jag skriver överenskommelser varsamtal vi erbjuder ta in nätverket om vi behöver men det backar föräldrarna det är som men det är på särskilt men det blir mer kontorsbundet det åker inte ut
och de var på väg.
Men jag tror också att det är där.
Men det var liksom
ja, och jag tänker också så här att jag skulle kunna en större utsträckning att man tänker ändå politiska ansatser så står det att det ska att kunna för de är ju också svårlösta där många av dem och också många av de här när det faktiskt företagshållen för att göra skydda skolor det är close och så tänker jag vad kan jag göra det här jag har mamma som bor någonstans det är inte så bra alltså man tänker så från barnets så finns det extremt många här som tänker på den här bubbet igenom egentligen så det finns inte besvären definitivt inte
ganska nytt.
Och det har ju stor potential att lyckas med. Jag tänker det handlar också om tidsaspekten med struktur. Att kunna hålla i känslor, emotioner och idéer. Och du tänker att det handlar mycket mer om att hjälpa var och en att stå ut men jag tänker också, men jag tänker att fortare med koordinator skulle kunna självläka också men med större skala för barnet över tid. Alltså så kan man ju tänka.
Jag tänker att den här familjerna skulle lika gärna komma i familjer men då är det här liksom en väldigt bra vinkel av
Samtidigt tänker jag att föräldrar behöver ju föräldrastöd också för att lägga barnen hamnar i föräldraskap. Det där tänker jag absolut inte det som behövs.
Det kan ju vara så att det kan ju vara
om de ska gå på sidan av. Absolut. Att komma in tidigare, motivationen hos familjen är inte alltid lika stor. Och det tänker jag så är det. Där tänker jag att familjer också kroppar att det är ett tillräckligt stort problem. Eller så finns det andra funktioner. Så ibland behöver man gått från de här resonationsinstitutionerna. För att man någonting ska vara okej. Jag vet inte att man håller på det så ska det vara kvar.
Det är bra att komma in kanske bara när man var till domstol. Ingen av er får dela på. Så att då är det som att det är ganska jämlikt
Visst.
maktbalansen så.
Vi har ju några och de har ju bara en barngrupp och så är det rest familjebehandlare. Och det är de att det är meningen som man skapar. Men de är ju väldigt svåra. De är ju verkligen svåra. Jag tänker att man går jag vet inte hur många utredningar. Och samtidigt är det här därför är det så ensamvård och inget umgänge. Då kommer jag aldrig vilja ha. Så där är det ju
Ja, men alltså det vet ansöka om stöd. Nej, kanske inte. Vad sa du? Inte jätteklämt.
Att släppa för oss eller för mig att släppa
Jo, samtidigt tänker jag att liksom, de går ju också göra som pågående. Har de gått på bakgrundslärare?
Vi jobbar på här. Vi tänker liksom både kanske organisation, lagstiftning, vilka som jobbar mer. Vad är problemet?
Det är samma problem. Samma problem som vi tänkte oss. Nej, men det har inte jag funderat så mycket på. Era roll i de den familjen som innan jag var de tidigare som vikarie hade kontakt med dem under den tiden när vi började fram till sommaren.
Nej, jag har ingen så... Det var ju ni som
Du fick på bakgrupp och så var det ni ute. Nej, det var samma. De ville ha samarbetsavtal. De hörde av sig att de ville ha samarbetsavtal. Det var Anna, tror jag det var. Det kan ju dig.
Men efter det jag började träffa dem.
Nej, gud. Nej,
det var en bild också, utan det var ju egentligen, sen var ju egentligen det min idé. Det kanske var en dum idé, men alltså det var ju det här utifrån din långa semester. Så det var ja, det var, jag menar, det var verkligen det skulle gå igen.
Not only solutions to the bad stuff, why people need it is one of the key things about that.
Ja, jag måste säga
Not solutions to the bad stuff.
Men med lagstiftningen är något för det här men du skriver ju skriver.
Va?
Men du skriver inte så vi ser även nu. Så den instruktionsvilja, där skriver du.
Jag får ett uppdrag. Då skriver jag en genomförandeplan. Den blir väldigt sen så skriver jag
Do you guys need more time to talk about problems?
Yes.
Yes, you need more time?
No.
No? Okay. So, do you want to record or do you want them to come up and say? Yeah. So why doesn't each recorder, and you can do as many together, well, we're all going to be on one side.
Ja, om en från varje grupp kommer in och skriver vad som är sett som huvudområden för problem. Välkomna, en från varje grupp. På den sidan, sen har vi förhoppningar om att kunna hitta lite lösningar. Vi lämnar den sidan blank till att börja med. Jag skriver på engelska. Ja, det är det bäst. Money.
Du ska på andra.
Jo, vänta, vi kan göra så här. Oj, kanske är sån här som inte står på.
Does the other side of the board yeah, we could just
That's good. Vi kör på här så vänder vi.
so we can do one more person up here too, maybe.
Skriv på svenska. This is so interesting. Money, people, resources, time, mandat. That means the permission kind of. From the families that they actually want and the course that they it's traditional stuff.
Samma sak är Den här familjen betyder att det var hinder. Utan vi ska kunna diskutera, men varför tycker vi sen?
Föräldraplanen är väldigt långsamt.
Varför tycker vi att den skulle vara mer lämpad än den här familjen?
Har alla grupperna varit uppe och skrivit?
Ni två som
What is it called in English? It says that this is the order. Order? The order.
Nej, jag kanske tänker att det skulle vara
Is that problem?
So it's between maybe in the range process one time. So they come to us. This is
Is there another group to write? Did all the groups write?
Ser man det här?
det tänker jag bekymmer. Då blir det
Finns broschyr med? There is information sheet, right? There's something wrong with it. There's something about information about the...
Sen har vi inte gått igenom heller.
Det här var ju otroligt värdefullt.
Vi har ju samma som jag.
Okej, tack så hemskt mycket. Det var ju väldigt värdefullt. Jag går igenom snabbt här så jag förstår vad ni menar. Too many rules and regulations before the case reaches us. At the moment, just the Department of Care and Treatment deal with these cases. We at Family Law also want. Okej. Kan någon utveckla det lite grann? Vem var det som, vilken grupp var det? Det var där. Se på svenska.
Ja, det är öppenvården hos oss ju,
Ja.
som sköter koordinatorsärendena. Och ja, det skulle vara roligt om det frigjordes resurser så att det också.
Okej.
Men vi tänkte att det kan ju vara ett sätt att också hitta fler ärenden. Att faktiskt vi familjerätten jobbar som koordinatorer. Så blir man kanske också mer att man hittar de här ärendena.
Okay. It's an organizational problem because it's only working on one side, Annika's side,
Yeah.
and maybe it's good if they work on it on the other side also, family law side.
That's interesting.
Resources and time is not on our side. Well, surprise. Families need to try everything before they get the chance to come to PC. That's a good one because we tend to kind of target the most difficult ones.
So they don't get triaged. Is that what that means? If they're really difficult cases, they still try these other things before they get, as opposed to triaging them directly into parenting coordination because of those risk signs.
We have an idea that the worst cases, so we kind of wait until they get the worst.
Till they get worse.
Oh.
Great. That's a good idea. Make them worse.
Yeah, that is a thinking
know-
arrow.
You know, one of the things that we haven't done this yet, but some people are thinking about is, do you know what I mean by triage? It's like you go to the emergency room of a hospital and the first cases they take in is where your breathing has stopped. Or the second cases they take in is where you're over bleeding. And the last case that they would take in would be a broken bone because it's not life-threatening, right? That's triaging. What cases do we take first? So triaging is like, okay, this case is kind of low conflict, and let's try this. This case may need more services than that. This case looks out of control, get them right to parenting coordination. So it's like doing that, like a screening first off and triaging them into the right intervention.
Yeah. Okay, it's a money problem, people, resources. What do you mean by that? Money is always a problem, but in what way? Who wrote this?
It's all those things is together in one way. Money,
Okay.
time, mandat, and politics. It's like the leading idea today is that the commune should be small, and it should be even smaller.
Oh, right.
There's almost nothing left. That's the leading political idea today, and that means that we are not so many working.
No.
And that will make it difficult to develop this kind of other way of work.
So fewer people working within each commune. So there aren't enough people to take care of this, this, and this.
Exactly. It's not a lack of people that need to be worked with, and it's not difficult to find them, because we see them all the time in our investigations and in our mediations, and we see them all the time. So that's not the problem. The problem is that it's not possible to work with them.
So because you're too busy doing the investigations, doing the other things? That makes
And
sense.
also the next one that says you need a law that says that the court could be able to make this decision. That you should know that this is coordination. It's not you are the one who is going to have that custody, or you have joint custody, or you need a law about this as well. You understand? And at this time we have a law that says you can have, I don't know what the word is, umgänge med kontaktperson, umgängesstöd.
Supervised contact.
And that takes also a lot of time from our resources. And that is a law
So
about, but this is not a law about.
You have to do the supervision?
No, that's another thing. It gives an example. There's a law that tells us there has to be supervised visitation, and therefore there are resources for that. But there's no law that says that some families need a parenting coordinator. Because if there were a law, there would be resources to do the work.
We have to make that there will be resources for this
Exactly.
supervised, you call it that, access. So, but it's not for this.
No.
And that is more a guard function. This is more something that is developing.
Oh. Very good, thank you. And what do you mean by mandat? I know what it means, but can you explain a little bit further?
It belongs with the things over, the time and the money, and you, because
from your colleagues or your boss kind of thing?
Yeah, the organization or whatever you would call it, because they have time. So if it's even if you want to do this, it's not possible to do that because there is lack of time and money for you to do it.
Thank you. I'll go on. Föräldraplanen går väldigt långsamt. The parenting plan is really a slow process, and lots of pages, takes long time, right? One parent quits the job, don't want to have a parenting coordinator anymore, and wants to be in conflict, and has kind of a second agenda, you know.
Yeah.
He's playing on or she's playing on, but there's something cooking.
Yeah. It's a game to win something.
Other professionals in the positions are kind of vague, they're floating around, or what do you mean by vaga?
We wrote that, and I thought about a specific case. It's about a child who has health problem, and I went with the parents to see her doctor because the parent doesn't agree, the father doesn't think she's all that ill, and the mother is a doctor herself. And the father claims that the mother over-medicate, gives her too much medication, make her more ill than she really is. And the child's doctor, at first, she was kind of supportive to the father that the child wasn't that ill, didn't need this much medicine and so on. But when the mother was upset and started more talking like a doctor, this child's doctor became more, maybe it wasn't that bad, and so it's hard to get facts.
That's really an interesting case. First of all, that was brilliant to go with them to the doctor. That was really a good move. But then you didn't know what the child's doctor really believed or really thought, right? It was confusing?
I did know it because it has been social investigation before due to this problem, and the doctors have been kind of critical to the mother because she's over treating the child.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe the doctor thought so, but when we were there in the meeting, she didn't really stand up for it in front of the mother.
So she felt like the mother had power.
Yeah.
And so the doctor couldn't even give accurate information.
No.
So what'd you do with it?
I wrote it down, and then I called the doctor and asked her, is this right, what I wrote down, was this what you meant? And she said yes, and then I took this back to the parents, and this was what I understood, and the doctor said this was what she meant. But then this mother, she doesn't accept it. She's a doctor herself, and she has kind of a high position, and she knows.
So people caved to her. So is it possible in that case to get a second opinion?
We had 2 doctors.
Plus the mother.
Yes.
And the second doctor did what?
The same as this one.
Wow. That's powerful. That mother is very powerful. Huh. I'm sorry, that was just so interesting.
Okay, there's a lack of parenting coordinators.
Yeah.
It's the first time dilemma.
Yeah.
Lack of time. Violence.
Now, what do you mean by violence? How's that a problem? Which group wrote that?
If there is a lot of violence have been a lot of violence in the relationship, is it possible to have a coordinator, work with a coordinator in that case?
So maybe I should later talk about violence, because one of the things I talked about the other day was differentiating violence. That there's the battering and controlling kind of violence. That's the kind of violence where, generally it's men who are perpetrating the violence, and women who are in shelters are really sort of, and that's this power and control kind of model. But there are other kinds of violence, and that a parenting coordinator really can't work with very well. I don't work with that. But there are other kinds of violence that I do work with. So it depends on what type of violence it is. So maybe we should address that later.
Because we have very many of our cases where there is violence included.
But again, it depends what kind.
Yes, that's why I would like to
Yeah,
get it more defined.
that's
Dig
really
into
good.
that.
Mhm.
Distance to one parent, living on different places, I reckon. Yeah.
True.
There's in Sweden we have there has to be an order, or we have this. They must have been to the court or in other way decided where the custody is and what do you say, umgänge, ordnad.
Oh, okay.
It has to be
Sure.
decided. There has to be a conviction to start with. And that's not something the parenting coordinator works her way back to.
So there has to be an order from the court
Yes.
about custody or about parent access. Yeah,
where they're living.
yeah, okay.
And
But-
that might be a problem according to.
And how might that be a problem?
Because I heard that the parents might not think it's a good one, they try to change it, and a lot of discussion is going on around the basic stuff, you know.
Right.
Who's got the custody and where is the child going to live and
So they
Days.
think an order is not an order.
no.
Oh, that's
Continuous,
interesting.
process.
Pardon?
A continuous process that it goes on.
Yeah, so that's interesting because they went to court because they couldn't agree, and they said, okay, you judge, tell us what our children need and should do, because we can't figure it out ourselves. So then the judge makes an order and they say, nah, we don't like that order. We're going to try to decide ourselves something different. That's interesting. Huh.
Okay, there's a lack of resources, and it leads to you don't say everything that is needed actually. No, you don't say that there might be a possibility for coordinator because we probably don't have money to
I see.
give them a coordinator.
I
right?
see. So
Yeah.
it's
Something like
not
that.
it's not even an option on the table
No, you don't tell people because you can't make it up.
because you can't make it happen.
No.
Oh. Politics.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But
Like a small commune.
There is a brochure about something. Apparently, there's something wrong with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
because there are no people. You said that there's a bullshit. But you can handle it. You don't know where it comes from. Where and there are no coordinators. Not so easy to get one. And so on. But maybe you want to say something more.
Okay, no problem. Apparently.
Did we get all of them?
Yeah, we did.
So these are really interesting, and there's some that overlap. Definitely.
It's the time issue. Okay. Egentligen har vi väl liksom tiden som hänger ihop med det här resurs, va? Eller hur? Känner ni igen det? Sen har vi det här att man inte riktigt har kommit igång liksom. Och det här brist på koordinatorer, det hänger ju också ihop med tid och pengar, eller? Och det här brist på resurser, det är samma. Vi har våldsfrågan. Vi har det här broschyr, det är också någonting. Hur ska vi förstå det här? Det som du var inne på. Det är någonting kring att det är lite långt bort och inte riktigt grundat. Något sånt, eller? Hur förstår vi det? Den här är inte så användbar, eller? Vad ligger då till det där?
It was interesting that there's a brochure, but you don't have the connection in the organization.
Okay.
So that one,
Vi har inte resurser.
the parents can read it, but
They can't get it.
Yeah.
They can't get the
it's
parenting.
very strange.
So this tells me all about a parenting coordinator and what a parenting coordinator can do, but we don't have any.
You can read about it, but we don't have it.
Yeah, is that what you mean? points?
Yeah, so it's something about organization and mandat, as we call it, right? It's something unclear in this. Okay. Resource and time. Families need to try everything before they get it. Vi är också lite systemfria.
That's an important one too.
We wait a very long time and they get to a position where it's really hard to start working with them because everything is really bad.
Worse.
A little bit worse. Vad ska vi kalla det då?
Worse.
Men det hänger ju också
Värsta
ihop,
familjerna så att säga. Ja.
det hänger ju också ihop med bristen på lagstöd. Va? Hade man haft ett lagstöd så hade du inte behövt pröva allting annat innan det.
Bra.
I said that if there would be a law, you maybe not had been, it had not been necessary to try everything else before.
Exactly. I agree. So actually, that's what I think would be helpful to do right now. We could either do it in groups or we can just brainstorm and write things on the other side of the board. It's up to you. About solutions. All right, we've got these problems. What are some ideas about what we can do to solve the problems?
Maybe they can start with the ones they wrote themselves and like dream, you know, what would be a good way to solve this. You don't have to have the whole path.
It doesn't have to be possible right now. Because we can create the possibilities. You want to go back in your groups and do that for a bit and then we'll write them down?
Yeah.
Again, because I think this is really helpful. I don't know if you, yes.
I was thinking there is nobody who have written anything about children.
Okay.
And I was thinking, is there, are we sometimes thinking that there is a reason that belongs to the children that we don't think that this would be good?
I don't understand you.
Ja, men alltså vad jag menar är att finns det anledning, är det någonting som har med barnets situation och vad som är bra för barnet eller barnets vilja att göra som att vi inte...
Att vi inte väljer koordinatorerna?
Ja, att vi inte väljer koordinator som ett alternativ.
Det är en fråga du har.
Ja, det är en fråga. Det är inget påstående, utan en fråga. Det är ett påstående om att vi inte har sagt någonting om barn. Och då är det en fråga, är det här en anledning till?
This been intervention that is not focused on children, and that's why we don't prioritize it. But it is focused on children.
Totally focused on children, but you're not working with the children.
I was just wanted to focus on children and think that...
So you mean kind of reframe it, reframe what parenting coordination is for the courts, for the whoever provides the resources and the time, that this is an intervention where you're working with the parents so that the children don't suffer so much.
Yeah, I believe in this. It's not that. I just think that we are. That's the reason why we are doing it. We are working with the children.
Yeah, you might be.
Because it would be good for the children. That's a reason, of course.
But maybe other people don't understand that.
No, maybe there are cases that we don't think that this is the right way to work with.
Yeah.
Because it's not good for the child in this special case.
The name of it might be a bit of a burden.
Maybe so
Parents or
as well.
coordinator, because everything else we name after it's more for children or family.
Oh, interesting.
Marianne,
Ja.
jag vill bara tänka på det här med att en del hoppar av det här med att de drivs av konflikten. Jag tycker att det är en jätteviktig del. Det skulle jag behöva hjälp med. Hur man motiverar föräldrarna när det inte finns en dom. För att alla de vi har försökt, och jag har försökt ett antal alltså, och det är liksom stupat på det, så tycker jag att det är viktigt att det kommer med på de här gröna som du sa.
Absolut. It's about, hur ska jag översätta det? It's about one parent not being enough motivated and working against the idea and stuff. Yeah.
Alltså de är drivna av konflikten.
They're so involved in the conflict, so you can't find a way to start working with them. Did you hear that, Robin?
I did. So that again probably requires a court order. And that's the kind of thing, the case that may require a court order.
I think how to motivate them.
To motivate them?
If you don't have this court order, because we don't have it in Sweden, so how do we do now? We don't have the court order.
Is it possible for a judge to order it anyway?
No.
Oh, they cannot. Oh.
Driv någon konflikt.
If
Svårt
they
att få till en
don't-
arbetsallians. Kan man kalla det så?
In the United States, if parents don't agree to work with a parenting coordinator, they can't. So we only take the cases where they agree to work with a parenting coordinator. So if there's too much conflict that they can't agree to that we wouldn't take that case. So that's triaged out. Needs another intervention. Like maybe medication.
But that would a little bit solve if it was more connected to the Swedish law. It's more like you have to, because here it's nothing happens if they drop out kind of thing right now.
Then they drop out.
Yeah.
But hasn't it also what to do with it? It isn't established. I mean, it's a kind of a project. We don't know in 1 year will it still be, and so on. That no one really counts on it in the future. They don't put a lot of resources in it now because in 1 year we don't know if it exists.
That's a larger Swedish problem, so to say, because we are so used to all these projects, and we try something.
Yeah, new methods, and then you try it, and then you try something else.
And there's still a lot of people that don't know about it, both in court and of course among families and parents. It's just like maybe 10-15 people that are in contact with it for real and can talk about it and it's get it to be known.
Yeah. But I think we move on to the dream session of this. Turn the pages and write what you wish based upon the problems that you noted before. Okay, what would be solutions? Is that okay?
I think we should take another picture.
Det är de familjemedlemmar som kommer. Ja, jag skulle vara ganska realistisk. Absolut. Ett annat scenario är att man skulle kunna ha en del också i familjerättsjobbet, men det måste ju också vara så att det skulle också fortsätta jobba med samarbetssamtal, att det måste vara en bas av det. Ja, så är det också. Och så tänker jag att det är ju också så att vi är skilda personer eller
kanske inte går inom ärenden som vi har ett ämne i. Alltså, så är det ju också.
Men i familjen så har vi så familjer en sorts prestige som inte jag har. Alltså det menar jag har sånt som familj. Det kan vara en poäng att inte vi är på något sätt en auktoritet som inte eller så att kommer man till någon intern aktivitet som kan hjälpa dem och som vi ska genomföra det här som har varit som varje samhälle. Det blir ingenting som
Nej, men jag tycker det är istället snarare att man skulle kunna en vakt till likväl som vi ingår ju också på handball och gruppledare så vi har ju så är jag också jag tänker att det är kompetens som vi ska utnyttja resurserna vi har. Jag vet inte om det behöver, alltså jag tänker att det riktigt så är det finns ett väldigt avtal. Sen tänker jag alltså
eller som provar medlare, att man ska prova eller att de ger umgängesstöd med lärare. Det finns ganska mycket de kan besluta om.
Men jag tänker inte
att de skulle ge för det är samma sak med samarbetsavtal. Det behöver inte betyda att man ska delta men att det ska kunna säga att vi ska prova
satserna inte så väldigt men kanske i 6-20 år så kommer vi så är också ett mer intressant för en avtal alltså så
fast jag måste säga som har skrivit avtal och gjort det klart 2 stycken och jag tänker att det var ändå de var motiverade så 2 stycken istället för att du slapp dem så jag tänker att kan vara det.
Ja, men jag tänker det är så att vi kan ju sådana för familjerna eller att jag rekommenderar familjerna.
Om man inte vi vill antar jag
och så blir tänker så här absolut för det är ju svårare så det är bättre när man har möjlighet att man måste ha någonting.
Do the groups want to write up some solutions?
Välkomna upp och skriv på era lösningar. Jag tror att vi börjar där. Kan ni på liknande sätt komma fram och skriva vad ni har diskuterat som möjliga vägar framåt? Välkommen.
Jag tänker det, alltså nu tänker jag på det som jag som är rimligt stor.
Ja, men det är egentligen lagstöd och resurser alltid är det ju egentligen. Flytta på händer som tar in.
Jag ser det som att men jag ser det för mig, vi erbjuder ju inte något som är, alltså, det är så svårt att ta upp för mig. Jag tänker att om man inte vet det finns, så är det man försöker inte falla på och sätta ett märke som tar koordinator. Så vet att det finns eller hur? Du vill ju inte det. Om vi har problem, då ser jag tänker inte så svårt med det tar på grund för det har jag liksom färskt i minnet så jag pratar inte om vad som pågår när du är på festen, för det finns inte möjligt. Det är så bra svar.
Hur är den formen? Säg den, vad är det som? Är det något som kanske har en etablerad del av kommunens resurser för familjer och den ska vara lite stor? Ja, jag kom på det. Jag hade redan skrivit halva, jag har så jobbigt att skriva upp halva. Så jag hade redan skrivit halva, så jag kunde
Eller känns som lite
idag också. Ja, idag. Nej, igår. Jag kom hemifrån.
Yeah, first weekend.
Maybe we should go back to having actually
It takes time and it's not a
Jag går igenom de här snabbt så ska vi se om det behövs ytterligare förklaringar. Offer parents that are already in mediation that needs more, and they offered a parenting coordinator. That's a kind of a way of screening also.
Of triage.
Of triage.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you go from mediation to PC, right?
The ones that have been in court doing conflict and reconciliation can continue to work as a PC because they already have a relationship and only, you dig into it where you already started.
In the what they're already doing conflict what?
Reconciliation, the cooperation with the court.
It's another project.
You have the film.
So could we go here then? What is that called?
Conflict, reconciliation. It's a work that's been done before the court order is settled.
Yeah.
Lagstöd, and in illustration, 2 hands, resources.
What was that?
Lagstöd, it's based on the law. There's a law says that they
Have to have that resource.
that's actually what we were talking about before. If there's a law, that means that there's also money
Money.
getting fueled in from somewhere. It goes hand in hand.
Got it. And who do you lobby to get a law?
Get a law
Yeah.
with the politicians.
Yeah.
So you
So
lobby
voice-
the politicians? Do judges lobby politicians, or are
Yes.
they not allowed to?
Sometimes they are even politicians themselves.
So if you educate your judges really well, they may want to join an effort to lobby for such a law, or no?
It needs more publicity, I think. It needs to be more well known, and we need a lot of good examples. Another thing is change of attitude. What do you mean by that? Who was that writing?
We wrote it, and that's a matter of some different things. That one thing is that you have to believe that something is in a process. It takes time to do a change,
Yes.
and it's not a matter of just saying this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you have to have the time, and nowadays it's also I think that the court they can't be enough that they want to close cases faster and faster.
Yeah.
They have someone above that tells them that it takes too long time. So you have to be patient and think that you have to allow it to take time to make a change.
Yeah, change is slow.
Yeah, change is slow, yeah.
Yes.
And peace between parents who is in a war, they
Yeah.
need time.
But let me ask you this. So you said that the court wants to close cases, and they do. They want to get through all their cases. They probably have a big case load. But does a parenting coordinator, is the case still open if there's a parenting coordinator? No, the case is closed. So that helps the court. It helps the court to close their cases if they send it off to a parenting coordinator. Because then people aren't back in court fighting, right? The PC's managing that. So it keeps them out of court. So it's a real benefit to the courts.
Can I ask you something, Robin? How did it end up being in the law in some states in the US?
How did it happen? A lot of lobbying.
Yeah.
A lot of people pushing for it. Now, in my state of Massachusetts, it's been before our legislature twice, and or committees that then bring it to the legislature for a vote, and it never got out of committees for two reasons. One is there's a very small but powerful group in our state that is fighting it. And they're fighting it because they believe that they're not understanding the role, even though we've educated them plenty. They believe that a battered woman would be forced to engage in parenting coordination, and that it would just be another power and control dynamic. None of which is true. That isn't what would happen. But we can't convince them. So our chief judge is trying to go around the legislature and not make it a law, but make it a court rule.
What's the difference?
A law, the legislature has to pass. A court rule is the chief judge can make an order saying judges can appoint a parenting coordinator, the chief judge. So up here, that these judges can make an order for a parenting coordinator provided that the parents agree to it. So there's only one state in the 50 states that has a law that says a judge can appoint a parenting coordinator even if they don't agree. So in general, the parents have to agree to it. And I'm fine with that. I am totally fine with that. But so, that's an option.
Let's go on. The PC should be an established kind of work that the municipalities, that the communes do, no question mark, and it should be reasonably big.
What do you mean?
This is also about change of attitude. This is what we hope for. That it would be, this is something the municipalities do.
Yeah.
And it's not really big, but it's quite big. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I work in something called the family resource in Haninge, and we are about 10 to 15 people, and we have different tools. We have different ways to work. We work with family therapy and family treatment, but we have a lot of ways. And coordinator, that could be one of our tools, I think, because it's not that different from what we do. It's just an angle of what we are doing anyway, and it's a good angle. And I think now I'm the only one who's doing it. I can take one or two cases, and I think reasonably big would be maybe that we were 3, that we could take 5, 6 cases. We talked about it, and that's probably what
the workload.
Yeah, that would be
Okay, so that it's again, I'm kind of going back to this triage idea. Cases come in and you kind of screen them, and I actually have some screening tools that we've used. And you decide this family should go to conflict reconciliation. This family should go to mediation. This family goes to child protection. This family goes for custody evaluation. This family goes to family treatment. This family goes to a PC. And there may be crossover here. You go from conflict resolution to PC, from mediation to PC, from custody eval to PC, but that needs the court's order, I guess. Even from family, I don't think I'd go from family treatment to PC. That might be more complicated. I'd rather start here, going either there or there. But well, I'm worried about like when you do family treatment, is it confidential?
Yeah.
Well, PC's not.
No, but couldn't you? I mean, if you change the person who's doing the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that would be good. So you could go, as long as the PCs are separate from all of these other services, you could go to any one or across. Got it. Okay.
We need further education and monitoring,
Mentoring.
Ah,
Yeah.
mentoring.
Mentoring.
Mentor. Ah, that's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Especially the first few cases that you do, it's hard. And you feel like I don't know what I'm doing. You know, that's what you feel like. And so if everyone who had a mentor for their first 3 cases, for example, I just made that up, but for some number, that would be helpful. And then consultation groups always for everybody.
And this one I love. Study, visit US and get new input.
Yeah.
And they want to go to the US and meet parenting coordinators
Yeah.
and take a course.
Come on over!
But
I'll help you out.
But you can probably set us in contact with other.
Oh yeah, many. I can, in many states, pick your state. In the winter, if I were you, I'd pick California, Arizona, Florida. I'd pick those 3 in the winter.
But you're probably aware of all the millions that our Minister Marianne Gabrielsson is pouring out to child protection area. 206 millions in 3 years. And it's all about more education and getting better trained. So go back to your bosses. I mean, this is totally doable. And there are conferences from the organization that Robin is connected to. They give 2-day courses, they have workshops, they have conferences, and you meet loads of parenting coordinators.
So, for example, the annual AFCC conference, this year it's in Toronto. It's always the end of May, beginning of June. This year in Toronto, next year in New Orleans. Usually has a 1-day parenting coordination pre-conference institute, it's called. And then if you go online, there are also 2-day trainings that usually are in Chicago. Now they're in Chicago or Baltimore.
And there's also a chat where you can chat with
There,
other
yes,
parenting
there's a
coordinators.
listserv. If you're a member of AFCC, there's a listserv, and people present their dilemmas, and then other people respond.
But go to your bosses that have a lot of money in fortbildning these coming years. Screening formula, especially violence, right?
Yeah.
Screening when it comes to violence.
Yes.
And that's something we
That's
will address
important.
in the afternoon. Our organization wants to work with PC
See it.
as a PRIO. That's good. Oh, well, this is what we're dreaming for. Okay.
What is that?
And they would like their organization to actually want to work with this, and they are prioritizing it. And
This is family law?
this is what they are dreaming of.
I see.
They want more people to work with this, employ staff that has this as their work.
So basically, kind of like every commune has at least one PC as part of your groups. Is that kind of what we're talking about, or what?
I don't know.
What are we talking about with that?
There might be one in every that is like an address to work with this. One in every commune.
What was that?
Stora kommuner 2.
In larger ones too.
Yeah.
The new child law, kids have the right to get a PC.
So the new child law, okay?
But this is something they are entitled to. Court order, register PCs, and they're connected to resources to enable our work with PC. It's more of a, stronger base
I'm sorry, I was writing. What is that?
There should be a court order that registers the PC and it's connected to resources that enables our work, makes it able for us to work with PCs. You know,
Yep,
it's based
yep.
on the court. We need a special unit to work with only PCs. Interesting. Stronger, it's based in the law, so to say, and a recommendation from the local court, and it's got the law connected to it. This really comes back in there. Politicians and bosses gives us resources, repriser, supervising in groups and in Swedish. There should be a PC, a unit, people working as PC in all the municipalities.
Yeah.
Or as a part in
In the social services.
Mm-hmm.
ja,
Repertoire.
You want to see this one here? Special unit, court order. That's the one.
That register the PC. Any comments on this, Robert? I think it's...
I'm all excited.
I can see. Det är verkligen vissa teman i detta, eller hur? Vi vill ha lagstöd, vi vill ha det mer självklart. Ja.
Jag tänker att det är också lite skillnad på olika kommuner.
Ja,
I vår kommun så har inte vi någon problem att resurserna inte finns.
Nej.
För absolut. Men vi hittar ju inte rätt.
Ni kommer inte igång?
Jo, alltså vi kommer igång, men vi har ju stoppats på grund av olika orsaker.
Ja.
Oftast är det att den ena inte vill. Och där är ju ett bekymmer istället. Så jag känner inte riktigt igen alla de här problemen med resurser. Det förstår jag. Det ser ju olika ut förstås.
Ja.
Och
Det är i Nacka.
vi har på familjerätten också. Vi har inte utlagt på utförare eller
Ja, just det.
utan vi har det kvar i familjerätten.
Jag skulle tycka att det var spännande om ni kunde berätta casen senare. Gärna på svenska, så att vi får höra lite var de här knutarna ligger. Fundera på det om ni har lust att göra det lite under dagen.
Och det är lite det som vi har tagit upp.
Eller
Dels
det, va?
problemen och lite grann hur vi tänker framåt.
Ja.
Det är ju så.
Ja.
Kan man också fundera över vad det spelar för roll vem som utför det? Som sagt, alltså om det är familjerätten eller om det är familjebehandlare som hos oss. Eller om det spelar någon roll eller inte.
Ja, vad tror ni?
Det är så svårt.
Jag vet.
Statistiska underlaget som jag har är väldigt litet.
Ja.
Men på något sätt kan man
där
tänka sig
också,
att det är... Eller jag tänker mig att familjerätten har ju en annan auktoritet. En auktoritet som inte jag har som familjebehandlare. Och det kan ju vara på gott och ont. Framförallt kanske om man går till familjerätten på samarbetsavtal eller samarbetssamtal för att skriva avtal, så kan det kanske vara bra att gå till någon annan för att sen göra det praktiska arbetet med att genomföra det. Men jag vet inte, utan det skulle vara intressant att höra synpunkter på det, tycker jag.
But I was thinking, to get material for lobbying, it would be interesting to see through these limited cases that we have. It's not, I mean, can it be like 10 that has been as coordinator cases so far? Something like that, and see what was it like before? How many investigations and how many rulings and everything from the court, and how much was the social services involved before, and then actually, I mean, time, money, hours, how long time were they working with them, and what has been happening afterwards.
Because you probably save money, even though it's a lot of work when you do it, you save money in the long run.
Yeah. So if it was like 10 cases to do this work, to see what was it before and how is it now, a year or so after, and some of them are closed for a few years ago, I believe.
Exactly.
I wonder about, I don't know, but I think maybe we hope too much about this legal stuff and having court orders, because I think it's a lot about having a working alliance and the trust from the parents. And I mean, parents can drop out despite of court orders, and maybe we tend to focus a little bit too much and hope too much from that if we just had this court order, then we can do all this. And I think maybe it's more about trust and keeping a working alliance with parents.
I think that might be true. And I think if you remember how Annika talked about her agreement that she has people sign? The other thing you can have them sign is another thing you can put in the agreement is that the parents agree to work with you for 1 year. And they have the option of agreeing to add a second year. So that the agreement is they're going to work with you for 1 year. And then if they say, you know, we'd like to stick with you for another year, they can do that. But that way there's like a time limit, and they've signed that agreement that says they're willing to do that for the 1 year.
Okay, thank you very much for
This is
sharing
excellent.
This has been so useful.
Yeah,
I
I've
will
written
make
a
sure
lot
that
of
they
the
get-
solutions down. I'll give them to you so you can
Yeah.
figure out what to do with it.
And also, I think you made a good point that there's not like one problem. There are different problems in different municipalities, maybe based on what kind of parents, and you know, there are different ways that these making PC work in Sweden. There might be different solutions. You know, it's not one size fits all when it comes to the problem. So.
Right, but I think everyone has identified the issue of education and resources, and it seems like if you really did have a designated parenting coordinator in each commune or 2 in the big ones, that would make a big difference. And if you had a screening triage process so that you knew where people should go, at least initially, that would make a big difference. And if the agreement that you draft addresses sort of all of these issues, that might make a big difference as well. And then I think a lot of the you know, sort of the court and the orders and laws kind of go into another pot that you have to figure out. And that's, as you say, a lot of education, a lot of publicity, stories from people about how parenting coordination helped their family. Testimonials.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a coffee break and we'll meet in 15 minutes. Okay?
I was just going to look up.
I think it's true. With the move, professors and students.